Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. Big-time investments from big-time companies. But does Indiana have the infrastructure to support these massive data centers? We look at the numbers. Plus, turning watermelon into plastic? How this Vincennes company is doing the unthinkable in the business of health. And downtown businesses cashing in on 9 days of Olympic swimming. The overall economic impact on the Circle City. Inside Indiana Business is next.
From Indiana's business news leader, this is IBJ Media's Inside Indiana Business with Gerry Dick. Presented by Elevate Ventures, Indiana University, and LiUNA.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gerry Dick. Indiana continues to put up some big economic development numbers. New numbers just released from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation show investment commitments from companies looking to locate or expand in the state topped $27 billion for the first 6 months of 2024. That's nearly the total for all of last year, which was a record $28.7 billion. The numbers include big investment from companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta, as well as high-profile deals in advanced manufacturing and new energy. But how is Indiana stacking up with other states? And does the state have the infrastructure to support the big investment being made in big data and manufacturing? Genova's Executive Managing Director Larry Gigerich joins me now with some answers. Larry, as always, good to see you.
Great to be with you.
First of all, reaction to the numbers. Those are big numbers. Last year was a big year for commitments. Already reached that almost in 6 months.
Yeah, incredible momentum for the state. And what the state of Indiana has done in the first 6 months compares favorably to some of the biggest, most successful states across the country, what they do on an annual basis. So lots of momentum, lots of really good deals announced.
I was going to ask you that. How does this stack up with other states, and where are some of those hot states that Indiana's competing with?
Yeah, you know, that's the interesting thing. Indiana has expanded its competitive footprint, so to speak, who it competes head-to-head with. So the Carolinas, places that have been very successful in economic development, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, for the different types of industries competing with those places, but Indiana's stacking up well. And in the Midwest, Indiana and Ohio stand out above everybody else.
Got it. Okay, the Site Selection Guild is out with its annual State of Site Selection report. I know you've intimately involved with that. Part of what we're going to challenge the state of utilities, infrastructure. We see all these big data centers that are investing in Indiana. Doesn't Indiana have the power, the water to support it?
It's certainly a challenge across the country. Electric utility infrastructure has frankly been underinvested in our country for 40 years. So we're starting now to catch up with some investment, and in particular, the federal government investment in infrastructure will help. But supply chain issues, the other part of it, whether you're getting transformers or other things. So I would say Indiana has been better positioned than other states, but there's a lot of work that has to be done over the next 5 to 10 years to ensure we can continue to grow with those entities.
Another big takeaway from the report, workforce and talent continues to be a huge issue. How is Indiana addressing that critical issue?
Yeah, I think Indiana has done a couple of really good things. We have a lot more work to do. That's probably the area where Indiana as a state doesn't rank as high as it does in a lot of other areas. But the certifications and credentials programs, Gary, have made a real difference in having people ready to work.
Okay, a big issue is quality of place, quality of life issues, and that connection between economic development and improvements. And we're seeing it around the state. Is that making an impact?
It is, and I think the key thing is quality place is the #1 underpinning for talent attraction and retention. And especially when you look at smaller communities and rural areas, that talent retention and attraction is critically important. And all the things the state has done over the last 10 years has really made a difference.
As you look at the big challenge going forward, does it continue to be talent, or as you look at the big focus for the second half of the year and going into 25, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it's infrastructure and talent both. So I think talent, continuing to find people that are positioned for the ever-changing workforce that is using more and more technology and automation, but infrastructure, water, and electricity are going to be our two biggest challenges as a state and in the country over the next 10 years.
What quickly I want to ask you, because these data centers and big companies, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Indiana positioned for more? Would you expect to see more of this kind of investment?
Yeah, for sure. I think the tool that was put in place to help with the personal property taxes, in particular for those types of operations, but also with the toll road across northern Indiana, having some of the fastest telecom infrastructure in our country, that's a huge advantage as well.
Larry Gigerich, Genovis, always some great perspective. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. Well, coming up, a Vincennes startup is using waste from fields to make biodegradable plastic. Amazing story in Southwest Indiana. We will explain how it works and the potential upside when Inside Indiana Business returns.
We build Indiana. The Laborers International Union of North America are men and women building roads and bridges to get Hoosiers where they're going today and a new energy infrastructure that will keep Indiana competitive tomorrow. LIUNA's over 12,000 statewide members also grow local economies, earning good union wages, shopping where they live and work, and paying taxes. We build Indiana for good jobs and stronger communities. The Laborers International Union of North America. We are LIUNA.
Well, Knox County is the second highest producer of melons in the entire U.S. And now all of those gourds are growing. A new business venture. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta here with more. Kylie.
This is an interesting one, Gary.
Yeah.
An idea that has its roots in Vincennes' Pantheon Innovation Center is blossoming into an $83 million production facility. Crews will break ground this week on the plant, which will turn watermelon waste into bioplastic, a healthier alternative for the environment.
Knox County grows gourds by the millions, but farmers only sell about 25% of what's in their field, and the rest, some 40 million pounds of watermelons, rot in the field as giant piles of waste.
How do we take this watermelon and turn it into something that is sustainable?
In a matter of days, AgroRenew will break ground on its $83 million facility, one of the first in the world built from the ground up to turn biomaterial into 100% biodegradable plastic.
Everything that's going back into the soil or in a landfill situation, everything that's breaking down is actually bio-based material, so there's no chemicals, there's no harm to the environment.
Watermelon, pumpkin, and cantaloupe farms in the Wabash Valley have already signed on to send their waste to AgroRenew.
Farmers generally are just happy to have a way to do away with their waste that they don't sell. And then we tell them, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to also pay you for this. They're like, oh, this is like, where have you been all of our life?
The melon waste will be trucked to the facility where AgroRenew's unique process pulverizes, dehydrates, and grinds the melon waste. At the end of the production line, the same small pellets that are traditionally used in the plastics industry, except these will be fully biodegradable.
Probably the biggest user for our product initially is like grocery bags, which are single-use plastics. The fabric bags aren't the answer for everybody. But having a 100% biodegradable grocery bag that actually just disintegrates and goes away in the soil is the right answer.
With contracts in hand, AgroRenew has already sold 100% of its product for the first few years as the facility ramps up.
It's just incredible. The demand for bioplastics is just going to continue to grow exponentially.
AgroRenew will start shipping its bioplastic next summer to its two biggest customers.
They've reached out and said, we will buy your test product. That's how desperately we need this product.
Creating a brand new revenue stream for farmers and new opportunity for Vincennes.
It's one thing to build new facilities in, Indianapolis, Lebanon area, West Lafayette, where we have our LEAP communities and stuff. But to be able to build sustainable manufacturing in our rural communities, we have these cities all over our state that have had declining populations and limited economic impact. If more of what we're doing can happen throughout the state, our whole state's going to thrive more.
AgroRenew plans to start producing its test product 1 year from now. The company has already sold 100% of the bioplastic it will be making when it reaches full capacity a few years from now.
That's an amazing story and amazing numbers when it comes to workforce. They're going to need a lot of workers.
Right. They're saying they plan to hire 300 when it's at full capacity. And this is a really important piece of it to the founder, is that this is a high-tech science and engineering operation coming to Vincennes. So he says a lot of the best and brightest who are leaving Vincennes now will have a really high-tech place they can go work at home.
And they are the first to really use this concept, if you will.
Right. So it's common now to mix bioplastic with traditional plastic. They are the first to be 100% bioplastic, and they have two really big industry names signed on. They can't share them, but they're sold out.
Wow. We'll continue to follow the story. Thanks, Kylie.
For sure.
Well,
Time now for our Eye on Education, brought to you by PNC Bank.
Well, big education news in Northwest Indiana this week. The largest single investment in pre-K-12 Catholic education in U.S. history. The Dean and Barbara White Family Foundation donating $150 million to the Big Shoulders Fund over the next 10 years, a move expected to transform Catholic education in the Diocese of Gerry and Northwest Indiana, ultimately touching more than 9,000 students. The blockbuster news comes amid growing momentum in the region.
In terms of what it means to Northwest Indiana, we think the timing is really good because they've now opened the double track section of the South Shore train. The Westlake corridor continues to expand, and we're seeing a lot of investments in a lot of our neighborhoods, especially in the northern part of Lake County, Porter County, and LaPorte County. In those same areas, we have our three premier high schools, Bishop, Knoll, and Hammond, Andrean and North Maryville, that also services all of Northwest Indiana and Gerry, and then Marquette High School in Michigan City, where I think you've also covered, has really an unprecedented amount of real estate development and redevelopment happening in that area. And so I think, especially as people are moving across the border, like we're seeing also in an unprecedented level, the availability of these schools is something that they've been used to in the Chicago market for a long time. And so if the choice is there to enter one of our schools for your child's education, we want to make sure that it's absolutely the best that it possibly can be.
Meantime, Indiana State University has welcomed its 13th president to campus. Dr. Mike Goddard, who comes to ISU from Southeast Missouri State, says he wants to focus on community partnerships and being visible to students. He says if the community is successful, ISU will be as well, and that goes both ways. IndyCar is moving networks. The NTT IndyCar Series and Fox Sports announcing a new multi-year TV deal. The network will have 19 broadcasts, a record for the series. IndyCar CEO Mark Miles calling the deal a, quote, unparalleled growth opportunity. Well, coming up, the U.S. Olympic swim trials are here, and that means big money for a lot of local businesses. We'll have a preview of the economic impact. That's next.
Finding the right healthcare partner for your business isn't easy, but Hancock Wellbeing at Work can help. We're a different kind of program that combines employer clinics with a wellness strategy. And in a lot of cases, we can deliver greater health benefits at a lower cost. See why well-being for your employees is well-being for your business at HancockWellbeingAtWork.org.
Welcome back. The U.S. Olympic swim trials are this weekend underway for the first time ever inside an NFL stadium. And Indianapolis isn't the only city getting in on the fun. The city of Carmel has been temporarily renamed Swim City, USA. Outdoor signs are now changed to reflect that new name. More than a dozen Carmel residents are competing in the trials.
It is incredibly exciting, particularly to have this happening in our own backyard. Something that's really important to us is that we try to have as much community support down there at Lucas Oil Stadium to cheer those athletes on, to make sure they can feel that hometown support.
Carmel High School sent swimmers to Team USA in 2021. Those swimmers, their families, and fans expected to create a big economic impact in downtown Indianapolis, to be sure. And preparations have really been underway for several years to put on the U.S. Olympic team swim trials. And with good reason. It is a marquee event for the city of Indianapolis in terms of visibility. When you look at 9 nights of primetime network television coverage and all of the hours it has taken to create a unique environment both inside and outside of Lucas Oil Stadium. Our Mary Rachel Redmond is standing by now with more on the economic impact of the trials.
Well, you can already feel the excitement in the air all the way from Lucas Oil Pool to here on Georgia Street. More than 250,000 fans expected to descend on the Circle City over 9 days. And it's not just the Olympic hopefuls in the pool gearing up for the big event. Local businesses also hoping to cash in.
we're preparing for an intense 9 days of people coming through these front doors.
The overall economic impact will be in the range of $100 million, and that's incredible. Yeah.
Downtown Indy Inc. President Taylor Schaefer tells me in the months leading up to the big event, her organization teamed up with Indiana Sports Corp to host a conversation with downtown business owners to help equip them with tools to maximize 9 days of nonstop foot traffic.
I think one of the biggest lessons learned around NBA All-Star is the more information that we can give downtown business owners, the better prepared they're going to be to welcome guests. And especially for an event like this, where it's 9 days, where you have prelims in the morning and finals at night, where you have that kind of gap where people are going to want to be able to explore. They're going to want to be able to get food and beverage. There's something really powerful about making sure they're prepared with that information.
It's going to take high energy to maneuver through all these crowds, and everyone walking through the door, wants to see a smiling face. They want to hear about the history of your restaurant. They want to know where are the other independently owned restaurants around the city that you love to go to. They want to know the good ones. And downtown has really, stepped up in all of that restaurant scene, and we have a lot to offer.
And there's also been a lot of work going on behind the scenes this week, from trash pickups to little beautification projects, to make sure Indianapolis leaves that extra special, lasting impression.
So often these events help to put Indianapolis on a national stage. They help to highlight the incredible assets and ability we have as a host city. But I think at the same time, they encourage people to explore Indianapolis. They help to raise our profile. They help to raise the visibility of our community. And I think only help to drive future events like this and hopefully bring people back.
Again, a big-time event for Indianapolis with the USA Swimming Olympic Trials. More than $100 million of economic impact expected from the event. Gary, back to you.
All right, Mary Rachel, thank you. Big impact and visibility for Indianapolis. Well, we are getting ready to launch Season 4 of the Business and Beyond podcast.
8 seconds to go. On the smart, baseline jump shot in the air. Go!
For more than 5 decades, he has been the voice of Indiana University athletics, the voice that has brought some of IU's most iconic moments home for generations of fans. Don Fisher, my guest, as we launch Season 4 of the podcast. We cover lots of ground, including his first play-by-play broadcast, a high school football game in Ottawa, Illinois, which he describes as historically awful. So bad he didn't want to return to the station that night.
The radio station that I worked for signed off at 10 o'clock at night, and we got done with the game at 9:30, and I drove around town for an hour and a half after the game so I wouldn't have to see anybody at the radio station, because I did not want to face anybody after that performance. I got back to the radio station to dump off the equipment at about 11 o'clock, and who's standing in the doorway when I get there? The general manager who had hired me. And he said, when I walked in the door, he goes, "I thought you told me you'd done play-by-play before." And I said, "Mr. Porso," I said, "I apologize for that, but I thought if I told you I had never done play-by-play, you wouldn't have hired me." Yeah. And he said, "No blank." And obviously he was really upset. And he goes, "You've got 3 weeks. If you aren't better in 3 weeks, you're done."
An entertaining conversation with broadcasting legend Don Fisher as we launch Season 4 of the Business and Beyond podcast at InsideIndianaBusiness.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Well, when we come back, we'll check out news from around Indiana, including a well-known company whose bread products are rising to the occasion in Bartholomew County.
Here's what's making news around Indiana. Brought to you by the Indiana Association of Realtors. Indiana's 21,000 realtors. The neighbors you know, the experts you can count on.
Well, a big expansion that will mean more dough for Bartholomew County. Irresistible Foods Group, which has already announced plans for a $175 million King's Hawaiian bakery and production facility with 150 jobs in the county, now seeking tax abatement for a second $40 million building and potentially another 150 jobs. Those potential jobs would have an average wage of nearly $30 an hour. Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb joined executives from New Jersey-based Semtra Biopharma to break ground on a $250 million expansion of the company's sterile fill finish manufacturing campus in Bloomington. That project is an advanced manufacturing facility that will house 3 high-speed automated fill lines. The company says the expansion could mean, quote, hundreds of jobs. New workspace for female entrepreneurs in Southeast Indiana. Jeffersonville native Deirdre Collins has opened Wall Street Suites, a business incubator she says is designed to support women wherever they are in their entrepreneurial journey. Collins says Wall Street Suites is her way of giving back to the community where she grew up and will include coaching, mentorship, and networking opportunities.
Growing up here in Jeffersonville, I saw women that own businesses, but there wasn't a lot of collaboration, visibility, and networking. I was able to connect and have a lot of great resources in Louisville, Kentucky, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump on a bridge here. But I really wanted to give back to my community and have that space here in Southern Indiana.
Collins says she hopes this space will serve as a launching pad for a variety of businesses in the region. There are 7 suites available at a price point that she says is below market rate. Well, big news for travelers in Southwest Indiana. Allegiant has launched a new nonstop flight from Evansville to St. Pete Clearwater. Allegiant says travel demand led to that expansion. The airline now operates 3 nonstop flights out of Evansville. So big news in Southwest Indiana. And that's all the time we have for this edition of Inside Indiana Business. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Gerry Dick. Go out and make it a successful week. Thank you for listening to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can get the latest business news from every corner of the state at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gerry Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.